So next time you're telling yourself, I'm in too hard of a business, you're a business owner, you're beating yourself up, you're blaming the labor market, you're blaming your employees, you're blaming how hard of a business you're in. I want to tell you that, hey, no matter what business you're in, there's been somebody to do it well. And the common, occurrence across the people who have done it well is the fact that they're very good at hiring and delegating. I guess first we're going to tell you what the goal is here. And I'm a business owner. Shaan's a business owner. We know it's hard. We know it's difficult. And you hear all the time that many business owners don't necessarily own an asset. They don't own a business. They own a job. We all own a job to some degree. We all struggle with hiring, delegation, building teams. And the only real way to have an asset that can make money while you sleep or grow bigger than just you and the work that you can do is to be a really good delegator and be really good at hiring and building teams. I think what we want is really to get people out here with a couple what Shaan likes to call gold nuggets. Okay, so when you're watching this thing and an idea happens, and look, you're not going to be able to apply all this to your business, but when an idea comes to you, I want you to write it down and kind of latch onto that one thing that you might be able to take out of here and improve your business. That's called a gold nugget. We want to leave you with at least 3 of them, and if you hit a gold nugget, drop it in the Q&A. We'll draw some attention to it. But I want to start by asking you a question. I want to prove a point here. The answer to this question is pretty similar across everybody that I've asked it. Shaan, what is the most difficult business in the world? Like this is the business that we hear is most likely to fail. 80% plus fail. Most of the owners have a job. Most of the owners, can't actually own an asset that they can go on vacation. They can never leave where they are working. Yet you want to take a guess at what
I think I started one of these. A restaurant is my guess. I've started one of those. That was my first business.
It's a restaurant, yes. And I want to prove a point that, okay, even the hardest business, you can point to the most hard, to operate business in the world. And I'll show you an example of a company that has thrived. Texas Roadhouse, one of my favorite restaurants. I love this example. 82,000 employees, 630 locations, 130 employees per location. $4 billion in annual revenue and $6.3 million in revenue per store, Shaan. $1.1 million in profit, $693 million profit throughout the company, $6.5 billion market cap. So next time you're telling yourself, I'm in too hard of a business, you're a business owner, you're beating yourself up, you're blaming the labor market, you're blaming your employees, you're blaming how hard of a business you're in. I want to tell you that, hey, no matter what business you're in, there's been somebody to do it well. And the common, occurrence across the people who have done it well is the fact that they're very good at hiring and delegating. So one thing that I want you to take away, this is potentially a gold nugget, is I want you to take ownership over your hiring and your delegating. It's on you as the business owner. If your employees are messing up, it's your fault. If, you can't find enough people, look across the street in your town. There's probably a Lowe's and a Home Depot who have 200 plus employees working full time, just over minimum wage. They found a way to staff. They have found a way to hire, and they just work at it, right? They go out and find who they need to find.
Okay. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm guilty of that. Blame the environment, blame the circumstance, blame how hard it is versus a very simple question I ask a lot of times is somebody solved this problem, right? So I'll do this all the time in my company. It's super annoying, but somebody's saying how difficult something is, why it's hard, why it's whatever. Somebody solved this problem, right? Okay, who solved this problem? How did they do it? Let's start with that. Let's work backwards from there. Let's find maybe there's some differences in what we can do and versus what they can do. But such a powerful question. Somebody solved this, right? Somebody's doing this. Who's doing it and how? And so I think that's really useful. Can I give you one of my frameworks that I like here? By the way,
you have a note. You have a note. Is this the 1 minute management technique?
Yeah, 1 minute management. So
okay.
So 1 Minute Manager, I don't know how popular this book is. I read this book was in a bathroom at my uncle's house, and it's a thin book. And I like thin books because most books, as we know, are like 80 to 90% fluff. So I was like, all right, I think I could actually read this kind of in one sitting. Let's see what this is all about. 1 Minute Manager. I like that promise because I didn't particularly enjoy management. And so this is a book about this guy who goes to work for this guy, and he teaches him the secret of 1 minute management. So it has 3 components, but it's basically like 1 minute goals, 1 minute reinforcements, and 1 minute criticisms. This basically shows that as a manager, it doesn't actually take that much time to empower and put an employee in the right zone to be able to operate. So the first thing is this idea of 1 minute goals. And I've stolen this. I call it one metric management. So basically what I do in every company is there is a team goal. So I'll use my e-commerce store as an example. So this year, team goal is 30 million in revenue with 5 million of profit. Okay, cool. Everybody knows that. And I've said that 100 times so that I make sure everybody knows it. Repetition, repetition.
That's the
repetition.
one big metric. That's the KPI.
It's the team metric. But nobody individually can go get 30 million in revenue or 5 million of profit. And so there's this disconnect. So then I draw a little line and I say, in order to do that, we got to do these 7 things. And basically every function has now one metric that they get managed by. And this sounds very simple, but the reality is if you go look under the hood, most people do not have this. So most people, you say, if I pluck in a random employee out of your company and I say, what is the key KPI that you are judged on, the single key KPI that you are judged on? About half people, none. They don't even have anything, right? It's like, they'll tell you what they are working on today, maybe what like the month is all about, but they don't know what metric that they are actually, laddering up to. What's the number one metric, their North Star? Even if they do that, they don't necessarily know what was it last year, what is it currently, and what is the goal. Beyond that, they don't know, are we already on track to hit it? Meaning we don't have to do anything new. We just simply have to execute the current game plan and it will happen. Versus sometimes you have a metric that's by default, we are not, default alive. We are not on trajectory to hit that. I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to change something. I'm going to have to pull a rabbit out of a hat in some way. And so the idea of one metric management is this. Go to everybody in your team and give them the single metric that they're going to be measured on that ladders up to the team goal. And when you do that, you want to make it clear. You want to reinforce it to them every month. Cool. How did that, so in 1 minute, you can check in. I just tell everybody in Slack, I say, hey, report on your metric. Then they have a format that I wrote, which is my metric is X. Last year was Y, currently Z. And here's how off it is from the goal. Status, we are on track to hit it. Just got to keep doing what we're doing. Or status, we have not yet figured out the way to do this. Like, for example, maybe it's my ads team. I say, your goal is to hit this return on ad spend. Maybe you have to hit a 1.9 or whatever. Mm-hmm. They might say, hey, we're currently at a 1.3. We don't know how we're going to hit the 1.9. So we're currently off track. That's okay. You don't get beat up for being off track. We're currently off track. We're going to do these 3 experiments to try to get there. Versus somebody else might say, hey, we're trying to keep our margins at X. We're already on track to do that. We got to keep doing what we're doing. Fantastic. And so with one metric management, you give everybody absolute clarity of their role. What are they trying to do? And then they get ownership of how they hit it. So they know what the scoreboard is and they know what we're going to look at. They know how they're going to be comped against, but then they get the freedom of the how, and they're going to articulate how they plan to go get there. You might help them figure out a how or give them some feedback, but ultimately they own the how.
This is a framework to run any business, really. I mean, because most businesses are a math problem. Let me kind of repeat back to you to kind of drive this home. I own a business that wants to do $2 million a month of revenue. If we know we do that, then everybody wins. That's the big company metric. That's the 1 minute thing. Draw the lines down to the marketing team. We need 400 leads a month. That's what we need. Then you draw the line down to the sales team. The sales team, we need to close 40% of those leads that we have. Then you go over to the operations team. We need to actually drive this much revenue and get the people through the company at this speed. And you're all solving for that same thing at the top. Is that right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Love it. Love it.
And this idea of reducing your business to a formula, great thought exercise. Almost every business is a funnel. And you could basically say our success is, incoming leads times conversion rate times average contract value equals revenue times margin equals profits, right?
Mm-hmm. You work back profits to get enterprise value too of how valuable your actual business is.
And then times multiple, exit multiple equals business value. Okay, cool. And then you basically say, all right, which one of those numbers do we want to really, point at? Or, hey, you're working on leads and you're working on conversion rate and you guys are going to work together because leads and conversion rate are linked, but like, we can draw this whole business on a napkin. And that's the job of a leader. A leader's job is to provide more clarity. Right? You bring clarity to the fog, provide more clarity than anyone else. A leader is not the person who has the right label. A leader is not the person who has been there the longest. The leader is the person who brings the most clarity. So that's another golden nugget of what is an actual leader in your company? Its job is to bring clarity to themselves and those around them. And you can identify future leaders by figuring out who's consistently bringing clarity because I need to keep leveling them up.
I love that. I have a saying that's every company has one of 2 problems. There's the 2 problems that can exist in business. You either don't have enough customers, you have a sales and marketing problem, or you don't have the ability to actually deliver for the customers that you have. You have a people problem. And I feel like owning a business is whack-a-mole between selling more, getting more customers in the door, and then staffing up, hiring, delegating in order to actually deliver the system. And I think that works real well in what you're talking about with a framework.
Big news, guys. I created a free PDF that details my method on how I analyze a self-storage facility and figure out what it's worth. Give me a pen, the back of a napkin, and a couple metrics, and I can figure out about what the property is going to be worth to me. If you want to download this PDF, click in the show notes, the first link, and you can give me your email address, and you get a email right away with a 4-page PDF that outlines exactly how I think about underwriting or giving my initial analysis on a self-storage facility. Again, click the link in the show notes, and you're going to get that document for free.
This episode of Sweaty Startup is brought to you by SupportShepard.com. ShepHerd. They are a full-service headhunting agency in the Philippines to help you find talent for your service business at 20% of the cost of U.S. equivalents. I've hired 8 employees through Support Shepard. I cannot speak highly enough about how it is revolutionizing my business. This company finds you candidates. They background check them. They do personality tests. They make sure they're a good fit based on your job description. They set up the interviews, and they even help you with the employment contract when you're ready to make the hire. I cannot recommend them enough. Check out SupportShepard.com to learn more.